Chapter 4. "Hello?" Arthur called out softly. No one was in the kitchen except his dog, Pal. Arthur knew his mother was home, though. Her car was in the driveway. "But she could be busy," he told Pal. "In fact, I'm sure of it. She could be working or helping DW or taking care of baby Kate." "I don't want to disturb her," Pal barked. "Are you hungry?" said Arthur. Pal wagged his tail. Arthur put down his backpack on the counter. One corner of Mr. Haney's envelope was sticking out of the flap, and he began rinsing out Pal's food dish. "Mr. Haney told me the envelope was for Mom," Arthur explained to Pal, "but he didn't say what was in it." Pal barked. "No," said Arthur. "I can't eat the envelope." Pal barked again. "No, I can't bury it in the backyard either." He put the empty dish on the floor. Pal whined with disappointment. "All my friends think the news must be bad," Arthur went on. Pal continued to whine. "Francine thinks I failed Mr. Ratburn's history test. She says I'll have to go to summer school." Arthur made a face. Pal jumped up and down at his side. Arthur fetched the dog food from the pantry. "Maybe I'll just leave it out and not say anything. Mr. Haney said I should bring it home to her. He didn't say I actually had to give it to her. Maybe she won't even notice it." Arthur laid the dish on the table, then opened his backpack. He removed the envelope carefully and put it on the table. "What's that?" Arthur whirled around to find his sister, DW, standing in the doorway. "What's what?" DW pointed. "The envelope, silly." "Nothing," he shouted. He leaned on the table. "It's just a dumb old envelope. People could walk by this envelope for weeks and not even notice it. And even if they did notice it, they wouldn't bother to open a boring envelope like this." "That's a lot of nothing," said DW. "You sure are acting weird." "I'm not acting weird," said Arthur. He straightened up and folded his arms. "I'm worried. I'm not worried. I'm worried. That's it. Hurried. Third grade is very busy." DW climbed onto a chair and stared into Arthur's eyes. "You don't fool me," she said. "I know worry when I see it." Arthur blinked. "You do?" DW nodded. "Yep, you get wrinkles." "I do?" She nodded. "I'm not surprised you could worry about lots of things, like maybe someday you'll be too old for birthday presents, or maybe you think there really is a boogeyman, and he's just waiting for the first night you forgot to check under your bed." Arthur sighed. "Those are regular words, everyday worries. I can handle those." DW gave him a careful look. "You mean there's more? Come on, spill the beans." All right, said Arthur. "The principal just gave me this envelope for Mom. That's all. Now leave me alone." But DW wasn't finished yet. She took a look at the envelope. "What are these words?" she asked. "Which words?" "These big words on the front. Private and confidential." DW frowned. "I know private. What does confidential mean?" Arthur sighed. "That only Mom can look at it." DW's eyes opened wide. She got down from the chair and skipped toward the hall, singing, "Arthur's in trouble, Arthur's in trouble." For once, Arthur didn't argue with her. He knew she was right. Excuse me. Chapter 5. The good news was that DW suddenly stopped singing. The bad news was that she stopped because she had bumped into her mother. "Slow down, sweetie. We can't afford to put a traffic light in here." Mrs. Reed gave DW a quick kiss. Her hands were full of papers. "What a day! If I had 2 heads and 4 hands, I'd still be behind." Mrs. Reed was an accountant. She always got a little frazzled at tax time. "Mom, Arthur's acting a little weird. He brought home a—" "Hey!" said Arthur. "That's none of your—" "Hush, Arthur," said his mother. "Not now, DW. I've got a few calls to make." She put her papers down on the counter. "Arthur, what is this?" Arthur cringed. That? Yes, that. She pointed to the envelope and Pal's dish beside it. On the table. The table? Here? In the kitchen? His mother folded her arms. Yes, the kitchen table. Since when does Pal eat there? Arthur let out a deep breath. He doesn't. Then why did you leave his dish on the table? She put it down on the floor. Honestly, Arthur, I expect you to be more careful. While Arthur fidgeted, Mrs. Reed picked up the phone and dialed a number. She left a message with the secretary. That's my third try this afternoon. That man is just impossible to reach. She glanced at Arthur. Is everything all right? You look a little pale. Of course, said Arthur. I was just thinking about, setting the table for dinner. He pulled out some forks and knives from a drawer and began placing them in front of each chair. Mail call, said Mr. Reed, arriving with a bundle of letters. He dropped them on top of Arthur's envelope. How is everyone today? Dear, you have whipped cream behind your ear. Really? I thought I had cleaned it all up. He scraped the cream off with his finger. I was experimenting with a new dessert. Mr. Reed was very busy with his catering business. I hope no one was hurt, said Mrs. Reed. Mr. Reed sighed. Only the pie crust didn't survive. The phone rang. I'll get it, said Mrs. Reed. She picked up the mail and the envelope as she answered the phone. Hello? Oh, hi, Leah. She started to look through the mail. One letter went into the wastebasket. No, I'm not disappointed. You called. I was just expecting to hear from Herb. She put a bill aside for later. I needed some paperwork from him. She flipped through a magazine. Yes, I know. It's all due Monday. Arthur watched his mother with an increasing sense of doom. He edged his way to the door. His mother had reached Mr. Haney's envelope. Suddenly, the water on the stove began bubbling over. Oh, I've got to run, said Mrs. Reed. Talk to you later, Leah. She hung up the phone and dropped the envelope on the edge of the counter. She turned back to the stove. The envelope teetered for a moment and then fell into the wastebasket. Arthur slumped with relief. He was innocent. He hadn't put the envelope in the trash. Some other hand had guided it there. It was fate. It was destiny. It was meant to be. Chapter 6. Dinner was hard to swallow. How could Arthur concentrate on eating? Every time he looked up, he saw the envelope peeking at him from the wastebasket. Even the fact that they were having hamburgers and potato puffs hadn't cheered him up. His partially eaten hamburger sat on the edge of his plate like a crescent moon. Usually, he piled the potato puffs into a castle wall and then lined up the green beans like alligators in the moat. But tonight, he had only stamped the puffs and beans down with his fork. They looked like little shredded carpets. Are you trying to say wear and tear on your teeth, Arthur? Asked his mother. Arthur looked confused. She pointed to his plate. All that mashing, you still have to eat them, you know. We don't want to waste food. Arthur took a small bite. His father helped himself to some salad. You're awfully quiet tonight, Arthur, he said. Arthur squirmed in his chair. We worked hard in school today. He looked at his father. When you were in school, were tests important? Oh, yes. We didn't have all the different projects you kids have today. Sometimes a single test could be half our whole grade. That much? His father smiled. Definitely. I wouldn't say you kids have it easy, but you do have more choices. Most important, said Mrs. Reed, we want you to do your best. I always do my best, said D.W., who was swapping potato puffs with Kate. It's all part of my plan. What plan is that, sweetie? Asked her mother. Her plan for world domination, said Arthur. Arthur, said his father. Sorry. Arthur changed the subject. Do you think every part of school is important? I mean, don't some parts matter more than others? Mr. Reed shook his head. That's hard to say. At your age, I never planned on having a catering business. And even though my business is food, I still need to know math for planning and how to write for advertising. What about, history? Said Arthur. That wouldn't matter so much, would it? History's important too, said his father. I might want to study old recipes or create a meal with some historical theme. I see, said Arthur, wishing he didn't. It makes sense to learn about everything, said his mother. You can't tell when it might come in handy later on. She looked down the table. Arthur, pass me the potato puffs, please. Arthur picked up the bowl. D.W. smiled. Arthur, isn't there anything else you'd like to give Mom while you're at it? Arthur just barely kept himself from kicking D.W. under the table. Just my thanks, he said, for making this great dinner. He forked up some mashed puffs and beans and filled his mouth. His mother looked at him. Thank you, Arthur. I think. She might have said more, but the phone rang. She jumped up to get it. Saved by the bell, thought Arthur. At least for now.